Hey guys, today I'll be showing you another restoration project I've been working on, and this video is for Chad, who owns this really nice 76 era Minimoog. So Chad, just going to go over it for you, show everything's functioning, just give you a good overview. And for anybody else that wants to watch, feel free to watch. I always enjoy you guys watching, commenting, always means a lot to me. But anyways, what we've got here is 76 era Minimoog, as I'd mentioned. And this one took a little bit more work than I had really anticipated. It had evidently set in a basement. Well, I know I had set in a basement because I was told by the owner. Chad had bought it, and the previous owner had it stored in a basement, and so for that reason it had some problems. The biggest problem it had was in the keyboard assembly itself. I spent most of my time getting this keyboard back into good working condition, and what it had is it actually had seized cams. So the cams were actually seized up for 2 notes, and when I took it apart I was hoping I could just clean it up and maybe get them to loosen up, but they were seized tight. And so I ended up having to pull all the cams out of every key and replace those 2 cams plus the actual hinge that they ride on. So this is the actual hinge, or axle if you'd want to call it. And these are the 2 cams I had to replace. Now sometimes I call these things hammers. I actually refer to them hammers when I do cams, but I was corrected here recently. It's the correct definition of what these things are. So they're called cams. And I've got a video on the Pratt Read keyboard design, which I go over this. I'll post it in the video below. I show it in the Polymoog. It's been a few years back. It was back when I was actually doing this kind of work in my garage. But you'll kind of see why I'm talking about how this thing works. This is not a J-wire keyboard. Moog do not use J-wire style key beds in the Minimoog, the Polymoog. I think those are really the only 2 that don't have the J-wires. And you also see the J-wire setup, or I'm sorry, the cam action keyboard inside of a early ARP 2800. The 2800 Odyssey had the same keyboard as the Minimoog, and it's just a lot better feel. A J-wire keyboard is really simple. It's just a rod that goes down and it pushes on the contact against a bus bar. That's all it does. These work off of a hammer action, and I call it a hammer action. One reason I call these a hammer, it's not hammer action feel, so don't get me wrong there. But what it does is when you push down on the key, there's a little lobe that sits on top of this, and it actually pushes this cam down, and it causes a motion from up and down to side, and your contact's actually connected here on a little rubber material, and it actually pulls it against the contact bars. So you get this little action right here out of this, and that makes the thing feel so much better. It's just a really good feeling keyboard. A lot more complex, but it's a good feeling keyboard. But anyways, I ended up having to take parts. I had a donor Polymoog that I ended up using the parts off of to make the new parts for this. But this is the hinge, and you can see right here where it was pitted really bad. Right there, you can see the pitting in it. And so I was going to sand this out and clean it up, and then I got thinking, well, that would change the radius of the rod, so that means your hammers or your cams would have more play in them, side to side, so they could actually rock side to side instead of up and down. And so I didn't want that either. And so just replace that axle or hinge. But you can see how these work. They got a little felt padding in there that works as a bushing. And these things were just, I mean, you can still see the rust on the inside. My camera's not focusing too well there. But you can just see how ate up they are. I mean, they're really bad. And somebody had tried to lube them, it looks like, at some point in time. There's some kind of lube on them. That could be coloration off the spring. There is a pink spring that goes underneath this hammer. You can see the little area it sets in, and it sets on the key bed itself. So it actually makes this hammer turn upwards when you let off a key. And so that pink color could actually be off the spring itself. They're usually a pink color. But anyways, that was the major issue. So replace those 2 cams, and then replace the actual axle or hinge, and went through all the keys and redid them. I had to pull all the cams to get this rod out. So replacing this rod took complete disassembly. But once I got all that fixed, I put new key bushings, did key alignment, did a contact alignment, did the key travel. This is actually part of your key travel. You have to adjust this rod position to set how far the contacts travel. And so I had to do all that as well. But it's a great playing keyboard now. It had good feel and much different than what it was on arrival. Condition the wood. Everything else was pretty much like I always do, just good preventive maintenance, because this thing actually still worked, believe it or not. It actually still worked pretty well. But just did a lot of things to improve it and make it a lot more stable. But yeah, most of my time was spent on the keyboard and cleaning this thing up, getting rid of the oxidation as much as I could. And like I say, I think I'm going to be really happy with this thing for a long time now. It's definitely a much different instrument than it was. But let me walk around back here. I'll show you I'll just walk around the chassis here so you can see it. And all my lighting's not great in here. We'll walk around here. The screws were oxidized as well for the back panel, but they weren't really bad oxidized. It was just a surface oxidation. So I actually polished the heads of these screws as well. So you can see that they look nice and clean now. They're not all green and moldy looking. I actually did a deodorizing on the chassis itself. I got a special method I do for that. And so the smell of the moldiness is much less than what it was. It's still there a little bit. You still get a little hint of it, just a little bit, but it's nothing like it was. So it's much cleaner. But cleaned the back panel real good. So not only was this thing in a basement, but it belonged to evidently a smoker. And this thing had nicotine just all over it. It was just coated nicotine. So I had to really clean and scrub this thing up to get the nicotine off. But you can see just how clean it looks now. And yeah, I mean, it really cleaned up nice. I'm really proud of it. But serial number 8310, that's 8310, and it's actually got a birthday coming up. This thing was made 12/14/76 is actually when this one was made. So it's almost a 77. But like I say, from 74 up, they're all about the same if you've watched my history video of the Minimoog. If you hadn't, I'll put it in a link below as well so you can check that out. But yeah, anyways, that's just a good overview of the Minimoog, but you can see just how nice all the wood looks now. The conditioner really helped that wood. It was really dry, and I put probably a good 3 or 4 coats of conditioner on it, and buffed it out real good. But it drank a lot of it. It was definitely needed that treatment. Let me go over here and put the camera on the tripod, and I'll walk you through the sounds. Alright, so first I'm just going to show you some sounds on this thing. I just kind of got a patch set up here so you can hear it. And just hear how great it sounds now. Just how great those oscillators are in tune with each other. So you can hear the whole range and frequency and how well that holds together with the tuning. And so that's one feature I really focused on as well, getting those oscillators to calibrate correctly. Anyways, we'll start just with, we'll open this filter up. And I'll walk through all the oscillators first. I'll walk through the filter and the contours, etc. So we'll start with oscillator 1. Let me get this filter set up here. So here's oscillator 1. We'll go through the range as well as the waveforms. And I'll show you also that your mixer control is real clean now. I cleaned all these pots as well, so you can get a good idea of how this thing sounds now. So that's oscillator 1, oscillator 2. Oscillator 2, Oscillator 3. There's all three of them back together. So anyways, you can hear how that sounds. Your oscillator is working great. And then we'll also go through the filter now, and I'll show you that the filter self-oscillates and it tracks the keyboard correctly. So we'll put on the 440 Hertz off the oscillators. That's your oscillator, or that's just your filter you're hearing now. Something I did forget to show you, we'll open the filter back up. Anyways, you can hear your filter tracks. I'll show you your noise source right quick. I forgot to show you that one. Once again, a good clean pot here. Just a little extra stuff there for you. Anyways, that's your noise source, your filter tracking the keyboard. Now I'll show you that your contour works for both your loudness contour as well as your filter. So I'll actually start with the filter first here, since we're already talking about that. So we got the filter where it'll bring down frequency so it doesn't hurt the ears here. And so we got a mount of contour. Right now it's still tracking the keyboard. We can turn tracking off. You'll see the filter won't track the keyboard now. So we'll turn up the amount of contour. So that's your decay time. We also got attack time. You've also got amount of sustain level. So your sustain level actually affects your decay level of the level of decay, basically. And that's a real handy knob when you start wanting to do stuff like this right here with it. So, still have that pop of the envelope, but we can affect it where it doesn't go all the way down. So so anyways, that's your envelope generator for your filter. Now we'll go to actually the audio, the VCA controller. So right now I've got it set where it pretty much sustains all the time because I got sustain level turned all the way up. I'll turn the decay switch on. You see me hitting this switch a lot because I'm actually turning off the contour, the decay time. So we'll set this thing. I'm going to set a real fast decay. Here's just a pop. So anyways, you can see your decay time works. And of course it'll go a long time, so I'm not going to go all the way through it. It takes forever. But the attack time works. As you can see, we'll put a little bit of decay time on that. See how that works. If we go to a long decay, I'm just going to show you the long decay. So we'll go all the way to basically here it'll go a long time on the decay time. Your sustain level, you got the same sustain level here. So if we set the that's the way you can get those nice pops. Together. You can how that works. So that's your loudness controls. I'll go back and show you your pitch wheel and modulation here. Let's open this filter back up. So what we'll do now is I'm going to show you the pitch wheel first. I've got this thing fixed where you got it dead zone. I installed the dead zone on this, so it's got a true 0.00 volt when you're in the center position. So it keeps you from having little sharps and flats when you use the pitch wheel and return it to the detent. So as you can hear, when I'm in the detent, it's actually not going to affect if I wiggle it just a little bit. So anyways, you can see how that works. Works really nice. That's a really handy feature. Pretty much something I do standard on every restoration I get because it adds so much more playability to the pitch wheel. And some are definitely worse than others as far as getting it back in the center position. Anyways, we'll turn oscillator 3 into an LFO source and I'll show you your modulation section. We'll start by modulating the oscillators first. So that's it modulating off the the oscillator, you can also use the modulation mix and engage noise into that. So if we bring the wheel up, now we have a mixture of the noise and the LFO. We'll bring it back to oscillator 3. So that's it modulating the oscillators. We can also modulate the filter. Close that filter up. As you can hear, and it also affects with the waveform of your oscillator. And same thing here, we can bring in the noise source. Yeah, that works. And we can also keep this oscillator in a audio range. Now we're getting to FM synthesis. So anyways, that's really a look at the overview of your Minimoog here. And just having some fun too there. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that everything works here for you. And once again, Chad, I appreciate you letting me restore this thing for you. I've also still got your other stuff, the accessories that go with this thing, which I'm still working on those. But your Minimoog is 100% complete, and I'm really happy with it, and I know you're going to be really happy with it as well. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and there'll be more to come here very soon. Take care.